2, 1.
Ooh, welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is September the 6th, Labor Day, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Happy Labor Day, Carl. Did you have a good day off?
It was a great day off. I woke up. I forgot to turn off my Monday alarm.
Oh, no, that's the worst.
And so I woke up at 6:30. And then my wife also forgot to turn off her Monday alarm. So then I woke up again at 7 and then I was just up. So it actually started very productive. It was like 9:15 and I was like, I've already done stuff today. And that was good. Also managed to get some tenderloin on the smoker. So
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, that was helped by your early morning because you got a bunch of stuff done.
Yeah. I also put that on earlier than I should have. So it was just like, I'm so used to when I'm smoking something to put it on real early in the day. I was like, it's 9, I'll put it on, but it only takes about 3 hours to cook. So
little lunch brisket.
Just had a little lunch pork tenderloin.
Jelly. I'm jelly. See, I'm a morning person. I like getting up early and starting the day and getting stuff done so that by like 2 o'clock, I could just lay on the couch.
And did you today?
Today I did. We had the windows open last night and it poured rain this morning. So I was up at 6:30. And
same as me.
Yeah, except 2 hours earlier than you.
Ooh, I was not awake at 4:30.
So I got up. My wife slept another hour and a half. My daughter slept another hour and a half. For all you people who have kids who don't sleep, I apologize. Mine is very good.
I was gonna say, everyone hates you. Like, it is what? She hits the bed at like 7 o'clock, sleeps till 8. Jeez.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky in that regard. But I will say she's a big bundle of energy between those times.
Those 11 hours that she's awake.
Yes. So got the day started nice and early. Got to collect my thoughts about our show tonight and what we're going to talk about, because there's actually some news going on in the hockey world.
There is. One thing, though, let's start here, because, I would assume you don't have to collect your thoughts. You've had plenty of time to collect your thoughts about this. Canada, gold medalist at the Women's World Hockey Championships.
Woo! What a game. Carl, I've taken a bit of a Twitter hiatus this last year, but I was tweeting that night. That was an exciting game. Remember? And we called it too after the blowout in the earlier in the tournament.
Yeah, the round
Canada had. We knew the US was going to bounce back, and boy, did they bounce back. So to recap, Canada wins 3-2 in overtime. Apparently, in these tournaments now, overtime is just 3-on-3 forever until someone scores. I did not know that.
No, I assumed it was 5-on-5, then a shootout.
Same. And
I do think that only changed. I think that's only for like medal games. I think other ones would have ended in a shootout.
Okay. Interesting. Still way better than ending in a shootout.
Oh, so much better.
So exciting. And you kind of know, like 20 minutes ongoing of 3-on-3, you're like, this is not going to make it past the first overtime. There's no way. No. And it ended about halfway through, I think, the first overtime period. So it lasted longer than I thought it would. But there's so many places to go. Let's start in the first period, okay?
Okay.
The US goes up 2-0. Same player scores both goals, one of which was on the power play.
Yeah.
So they go into the second period leading 2-0. How are you feeling at that time?
Obviously nervous, because I think that was the first time Canada had been down this tournament.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know what this team can do and what they're capable of, but to have to make that shift in what they're doing, because they did, right? Like, they had some good chances in the first, but they needed to be able to kind of make those modifications, and that they're good enough, but you just hadn't seen it. They don't have practice at it. And so I was definitely nervous, but also like hopeful.
Yeah. I also thought the goals were kind of meh. Like, they weren't the best goals. So, you get a couple bad bounces, one's on the power play. As long as they stick to their game, I felt they're good. They got this. They can come back.
Right. They outscored them by way more than 2 the first game.
Yes,
So.
Absolutely. And sure enough, they did come back. And I believe they scored both of their goals in the second period. We're going back like 6 days now.
Yes. Like start of the first half of the second period. They got them both.
They tied it up. And then that was the end of scoring until overtime.
Yeah. Third period was close.
It was close, especially the ending and the penalties. Can we talk about these refs, please, and the penalties?
Please do.
What was that game? The whole game, it was rough. Like it was a physical, rough game. Body checking, they were pushing each other around. No penalties. They called the softest penalties. A little bump here, a stray stick that someone's legs got caught. Like it was just, I thought the penalties they were calling were not penalties. But then something would happen 2 minutes later, and I'm like, where's the call? That was a straight up body check.
Yeah, it was really interesting and disappointing, especially the fact that like how much of that happened. And I mean, obviously I might be a little bit biased because of like the Canadian side of it, but like the fact that you started pulling out the whistles in the third period.
Yeah.
Like it was, that's when you're going to start calling penalties like this. Come on.
Yeah. But Canada their PK was so good. They stayed on their toes and they kept moving and they kept the puck out, which was like my heart was racing. And me and my wife are funny when we watch stuff like this because when she gets really nervous, she sits on the couch and shrinks and goes very quiet. Whereas I'm the opposite. I'm standing up and yelling at the TV. And that's exactly where we were at last Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm with you. We would both be standing. I'd be walking around. I was walking around the room, getting amped. Got to walk it off. Go get a snack during commercials.
Yeah, and then of course, I think all of our listeners know this, but Aaron Ambrose, the defenseman, number 23 on Team Canada, is my wife's first cousin. So the more that their coaching staff put her on the ice deeper into the game, the more mad I was at them. I was like, can you please not put her on the ice right now? I can't deal with this.
Like, obviously, I mean, we want to win. So you want the best out there. And so you do want Aaron out, but also
it's so stressful. Much more nerve wracking when there's like a personal connection there.
Yeah.
But they did it. She played great. I was very proud of her, very happy for her. Then we get to overtime and Marie-Philip Poulin, like, that goal that everyone thought at first wasn't a goal, except for her.
Yeah.
She knew it went in and she went back to the bench and then they blew the horn, I don't know, less than a minute later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they checked the video.
Little confusing how that played out, but in no way stole the joy of that moment from them.
No.
Which I was glad.
What a shot. Like, I've watched it so many times and I still can't wrap my head around how she picked that corner. She picked that spot and she hit it. Unbelievable.
Yeah. The angle, the speed, impressive shot.
Unbelievable. And she just knew. She knew she scored.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But when the whistle doesn't go, you got to keep playing.
Yeah. I think though, I mean, in that celebration was something I have never seen before. I've seen it once in baseball and once in football, but never in hockey. Poor Blair Turnbull breaking her leg, celebrating the win.
Rough. That was rough, hey? It was weird because they were covering the celebration, but there was this like weird kind of energy around the fact that they pulled someone off the ice and she just disappeared.
Yeah.
They're like, we think she's hurt, but we don't know. And then there's this whole celebration going on at the same time. It was a weird energy.
It was. And then she comes back on the stretcher.
Hilarious. What a moment.
Yeah.
With their hands up.
So good. I mean, exactly what we want out of this. Some great summer hockey, being able to celebrate. I mean, I was glad that it was a good, close game. Made it a lot of fun. Also glad Canada won.
Yes, it was It was everything we needed from that game. It was so exciting.
Absolutely. Well, we also got, I mean, not only do we have that, but we had the final results of the Montreal Canadiens Carolina Hurricanes saga.
The offer sheet saga. It's over now. Was yesterday the deadline?
Yesterday, was it yesterday or Saturday? It was one of those 2 days was the deadline. And the Montreal Canadiens opted to not match the offer sheet. Jesper Kotkaniemi off to Carolina.
Yeah, I guess the Habs would rather have a late first and late third round pick in next year's draft.
And then turn around and make another trade to fill that void, picking up Christian Dvorak from the Coyotes.
I just like, so, and they traded what, a first and a fourth or a first and a third for Dvorak?
A first, and I know
I'm going to pull it up right now.
Okay. Because it's
very confusing.
There's a lot of conditions. The one that's the most certain to happen is that it is the highest of their 2 first-round picks that they have, because they have their own and they have Carolina's now.
Right, but there's some lottery protection in there, isn't there?
Right. So if they're in the top 10, then it's not that. Do you have the actual conditions there?
Okay. Do you want me to read this?
Please.
Okay, I'm going to read this. This is from a tweet that Elliot Friedman posted 2 days ago. Okay, so Arizona trades Dvorak to Montreal in exchange for the better of Montreal's own first-round pick in the 2022 NHL draft and Carolina's first-round pick in the 22 NHL draft. So we covered that. Whichever pick is higher, that's the one that Arizona gets. And 2, Montreal's own second-round pick in the 2024 NHL draft. So a second-round pick 2 years from now. However, in the event that either or both of Montreal's own first-round pick and or Carolina's first-round pick are top 10 picks in the 2022 draft, then Montreal will instead transfer to Arizona either the worst of Montreal's own pick and Carolina's pick, and 2, Montreal's own second-round pick in the 2024 NHL draft.
So it'll either then be a first and a second, so the best first and a second, or the worst first and 2 seconds.
No, just 1 second in the second scenario.
Oh, so it
so
moves.
The second is same.
Okay.
The second is the same in either scenario. What changes is if it's not a lottery pick,
right,
then they get the best of the 2. If it is a lottery pick, they get the worst of the 2.
Okay, which I would expect. I mean, that Carolina one's not going to be a lottery pick. Montreal's
could be. This is actually not that confusing when you say it the way we just said it. Why did they write it like that? That's dumb. So here's the question that I have in this scenario. Because they paid more for Dvorak than what they got for Kotkaniemi. Now they're paying Dvorak less than what they would have been paying Kotkaniemi. He's making about $2 million less, which Montreal definitely has some cap space issues. But is Dvorak that much better that it's worth the difference between a second and a third than Kotkaniemi? No. I don't know. As an outsider here, I'd take Kotkaniemi every day of the week.
So Dvorak is more of like that natural, like he is a center, because even the Hurricanes came out and they said they're going to play Kotkaniemi on the wing. They're not playing him at center. So, right. Which, sure, I mean, it's great to have those flexibility options, right? So that makes him better, but he's 25 years old. Dvorak is. He's going to get you 20 goals, 20 assists, which is fine. But like what he is, right? I don't expect him to get much better. Kotkaniemi's got a much higher ceiling. Maybe not much higher, but a higher ceiling for sure.
For sure. Yeah. And I think his ceiling will be higher than Dvorak's is. Like, I think both of these players at their peaks, Kotkaniemi is going to be the better player.
Yeah. And Carolina's already, I mean, they're wanting to extend him. We've got rumors of a 4x4 extension.
It's great.
Which turns this into like a 5-year, $22 million contract when all is said and done. That's perfect.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. But like the Habs had to do something, because you look at their depth. I just pulled up their daily faceoff page to look at their depth chart. Down the middle, they had, this is before the trade, Nick Suzuki, Jake Evans, and Cedric Paquette, because they lost what's his name to Los Angeles.
Philip
Deneau. Like they had to do something. It's just like sliding Christian Dvorak in there doesn't give me that much confidence in that center depth. I mean, he's fine.
And is way better than shoving Jake Evans in as your number 2 center.
Yeah, like totally.
That was not going to cut it for them.
For sure. They needed to do something.
So have that going in there. And I mean, so with all of what they've lost this year, I mean, they lost Deneau, they lost Kotkaniemi, Shea Weber's out.
Yeah.
There was someone else that they lost as well on defense, I believe. I slipped my mind right now. But I mean, Jonathan Drouin, still no idea what he can contribute.
Yeah. He'll be at training camp ready to play the year.
Right. So like significant pieces that they've lost out on. So this team that was, I mean, they were a fringe team getting into the playoffs last year in a shortened season, went on their run. But I don't think this is a playoff team this year.
They're a bubble team. I could see them sneaking in again.
Here's why I don't think that they're a playoff team this year. Because they're going back to the original divisions. They no longer get to feast off the likes of Ottawa and Vancouver. And I mean, Winnipeg wasn't anything super great this year. Now they're in a division with Tampa and Florida and still Toronto. Like, so you've got those 3 teams taking the main spots. They're fighting for that wild card, and they've got, the teams in the Metro to fight against. And the competition has gotten much stiffer than 7 teams fighting for 4 spots.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And a lot for Montreal, as always, is going to come down to their goaltending too, right? Which they had some weird offseason stuff with their goaltending tandem as well, and exposing Carey Price. And is he hurt? Is he not hurt? I mean, that's been the question his whole career. But that's going to make it. That's going to make a huge difference within that division too, right?
Absolutely.
Are they not in Carolina's division?
Carolina is in the Metro. Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually shockingly difficult. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So their division. So the teams I mentioned, Tampa, Florida, Toronto, like those seem like the easy default 3 teams to make it, but also Boston.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then luckily for them, they've got Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo.
Right.
So to me, Montreal kind of slots in as the 5th best team in that division.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows? They could challenge the likes of Boston.
Well, depending on what we get from Tuukka Rask and in Boston, it'll be a big question mark for sure.
Yeah, like Boston's probably the only other team on that list that has the same question marks that Montreal does.
Yeah, but then you go to the other division and you got obviously Carolina. You got Washington still. They're still a playoff contender. Pittsburgh, you know they're always going to be there. Islanders are going to be there. The Rangers got better. Philadelphia got better. The Devils got better. So, and they got worse.
It's going to be a tough competition for that wild card spot.
Yeah. You know what? When we start next week, we're going to start our season previews. And when we are getting into those, it's going to be, I mean, making those choices of where we're going to fit those teams. I'm not looking forward. Can we not start with the Metro?
I think we should do what we do every year and start easy and go to the West Coast.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, because boy, that Metro is not going to be an easy one to preview.
So the big question for the Habs and the offer sheet saga is it over? Is this it? They said, okay, Carolina, you win, have our guy, we'll take your draft picks? Or can we expect this to continue next summer?
Yeah, I would expect it to. I mean, Montreal is definitely going to talk to Carolina because unless they lock down Kotkaniemi, they could have some chats with him. There was someone else that Carolina had it last week in our conversation. Do you remember who that was?
Someone that that they could target in an offer sheet?
Yeah, that Montreal could target.
I'm looking at the Montreal lines right now.
Martin Etches and Ethan Bear. Those are
right. Yes, that's right. That's right. We'll have to keep our eyes on that.
Yeah. If we have this every year, because this has been one of the first offer sheets we've had in a long time, and certainly an accepted offer sheet. It's great.
It's very exciting. And Marc Bergevin, man, that guy is just too proud and too stubborn for his own good.
I mean, Carolina is absolutely as well. Like they did not have to go out and do this. There was other ways that they could have.
It's so true.
Could have gotten a winger, and yet this is what they decided to spend their time and energy on.
It's great. I love it.
Absolutely.
I'm all for it.
All right. We're going to take a break right here. We'll be back on the other side with some more news that came out this week in the NHL. 1, 2, 3.
The reverse count. So we opened our show talking about international hockey, and we're going to come out of our break and talking about some international hockey because the NHL players are going back to the Olympics February 2022.
Yeah, February. So the NHL has taken essentially almost a 3-week break from February 3rd to the 22nd. They're going to be there, which is one interesting thing that is happening this year is that we still get an all-star game and the Olympics in the same year.
Seems like a little much. I'd be okay if they didn't do the all-star game.
Especially because the best players will most certainly not be at that game.
Yeah. So it'll be like a mild star game.
Yeah, it'll be like, here's every country's second tier players. I mean,
I'm all for it. It might be more fun, actually. That skills competition.
Let's just make it full on crazy. Who knows what we could do? But I just, if it's not even going to be the best players, let's just have some fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring back the draft. That's goal number 1.
Poor Phil. If they're bringing back the draft, they got to make Phil a captain.
Is he not going to be at the Olympics? I assume he's at the Olympics.
Phil Kessel? I don't know, man. The Americans are going to be pretty stacked. We're going to have to do, I'm not ready for this right now, but we're going to have to do a future show where we do team projections, mostly for the US and Canada.
Yeah, clearly we're already on different pages.
I'm not convinced Phil Kessel is a lock right now.
I mean, we know how well he fills out a Team US jersey, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So you want him in there.
Hey, Carl, I want him there. With everything I want him there. I just don't think he will be.
Yeah, so this has happened. I mean, it's great for the league. The NHL said, Gary Bettman has said for years that he wanted to be at these games in China, that this was a goal. So they're going to be there in Beijing and making this happen. And I mean, the players all said that they wanted to, and it's going to be great. So for 3 weeks in February, we will be getting this. And I mean, for a lot of teams, this is the only since the World Cup of hockey. This is like that's the last international competition we've had.
Yeah. With the NHL players involved, for sure.
We have the World Championships, but like that kind of doesn't count in my books.
And it happens at the same time as the playoffs. I always miss the World Championships because I'm watching the playoffs.
And because like the more competitive games are that, and like you've got some of the best players not playing.
Exactly. And then you hear weird players like Troy Stetcher scores like 4 goals in a game at the World Championship.
And everyone goes crazy and is on like a real Troy Stetcher heater.
Exactly.
Because like the Russian team literally doesn't get any of their players because Tampa just continues to be there. Right. So you've got like their best defenseman, their best goalie, and their best winger are busy winning Stanley Cups and riding on boats.
Yeah, exactly. Only gold they're going for is at the Olympics.
You bet. So I'm excited for that. That's going to be good. But the NHL also had another big announcement this week, and this was in regards to their COVID protocols. And like a lot of leagues right now, and a lot of like organizations, the NHL had to do something. They needed some sort of policy, right? They couldn't just go out there and say this, and so, or just go out and say, whatever, right? We'll figure it out, which seemed like what they would probably do in years past.
Well, it had to be different from last year because the divisions are going back to normal. So there's going to be a lot of crossing borders.
You're going to be crossing borders. And honestly, like with what we had last year of all those rescheduling hassles, we had that difficulty. And like they extended the season and they only played in that Canada division against 6 other teams. Can you imagine now trying to play against 31 other teams and trying to make that work? It's not going to happen.
No, we don't want to give their scheduling guy a heart attack.
No. So the NHL has taken the stance that teams can suspend unvaccinated players if they test positive and have to miss a game.
Without pay.
Exactly.
That's a pretty intense rule. I don't know what the ratio is of vaccinated versus unvaccinated players, but I'd be going to get vaccinated.
Absolutely. I mean, so you might not have seen this. Maybe you did. The Alberta government is literally bribing people. You can get, if you have not gotten a shot right now and you want to go get one, they will pay you $100 if you get it before the beginning of October. So for $100, they think that's enough to get people to get their shots. NHL players will literally be missing out of thousands, tens of thousands, even potentially, depending on the time, hundreds of thousands of dollars for not being vaccinated and having to miss time.
Yeah. And in addition to that, the rules for unvaccinated players are much, much stricter than they are for vaccinated players. Like, for example, if you're on the road and you're unvaccinated, the only places you're allowed to enter are your hotel room, the practice rink, and the game rink. You can't use hotel pools. You can't go to restaurants. You can't use any common areas. So it's, they're really cracking down on this. Personally, I think it's the right thing for them to do because, like you said, you can't go having COVID outbreaks this year and having to reschedule all 31 teams.
Yeah. And I mean, even still, right? Like there's going to be some issues. There's going to be people that are testing positive and are missing time. We see it. We've seen it throughout the year in baseball this year. What's interesting is that from this perspective is that they did say that any vaccinated player that tests positive, it's treated as a hockey related injury. So there's nothing special about that. So if you're vaccinated, you test positive, too bad. I'm sure that they care. It's not too bad, but from like a helping the team perspective,
yeah,
there's nothing we're going to do.
Yeah. Do you think that'll be classified as an upper body injury? Lower body?
I think it's
upper, right?
I think that's
what were they saying upper in the bubble? I can't remember the terms they used in the bubble.
Yeah, I think they just said unfit to play, wasn't it?
Unfit to play. Any injury was just unfit to play.
Yeah, you were just unfit. That's all it was. I know that this guy's been training, but he's currently unfit. So
hilarious. So yeah. So yeah, if you're vaccinated, it's treated as an injury. If you're not, it's treated as a suspension.
Which is, definitely going to hurt some teams. And I think it'll be interesting of like because is it, I didn't see in this. Do you think that it is a suspension only until they're cleared and able to come back? Or if you're really upset at a guy, can you just leave him suspended for a while? Like a guy goes out, say it's a guy, I'm thinking like bottom 6, bottom pair D, gets hurt. You call up a guy from the A, he's playing well. You're annoyed at him. Can you just leave him suspended for the entire year? Is there anything that says you can't? Like that's what I'm looking through this and I see nothing that says that.
It's a good question. I mean, my assumption is that at the very least, it's the 2-week quarantine period. But I mean, you're right. There's nothing in that release that says anything about the length of time.
Yeah.
It might have to do around tests and negative tests.
It very likely would be. It does. It seems in reading this. So it says, even if you can't travel like across a border, you would also be left suspended. So if you can't pass the necessary things to cross a border, sorry, you stay home and don't get paid.
I like it. I like making, people accountable and responsible for their actions on something like this. Cause it's, those decisions don't just affect them. They affect their entire team.
Right. And it's not just, I mean, financially and team wise, it's the health of friends,
Absolutely.
family, other players. So I'm definitely in favor of doing what it takes to make this happen. And I mean, I look forward to an NHL season that's as normal as possible this year. And with this being the case, if there's less players missing time, that's what we want.
Absolutely.
So that is the week in NHL news. And I'm not sure, I mean, if we're starting our previews next week, which let's tease it right now. We have big news next week.
Yes, we do.
Like big news. So make sure to tune in. Maybe we'll mention it off the start. Maybe we'll wait till the end.
Who knows?
That's a whole week from now.
We should hold it to the end just to really force people to listen to my stupid song.
It's like, this is after the song even. We're not gonna know what's gonna happen next week until Nick has his mid-afternoon nap and really rallies and gets ready for this.
That's right.
Gets in the mindset of the show. So we'll find out as well next Monday what the plan is. But until then, just know, I would say the biggest news in the history of the show.
Oh, that is big news.
Like, it's big. So I'm excited. I'm excited to drop that after the song next week.
Me too.
But all that to say, if we're starting the season previews next week, this might be our final movie club.
It might be. The more and more hockey news that comes out, the more, I'm glued to the screen and less to my Netflix.
Well, I actually went through this morning and added a bunch of new things to my Netflix. One that I'm quite excited. I almost dropped everything and just watched it this morning. Have you seen the movie Yesterday?
I have.
Should I be excited to watch it? Because I thought it was a creative idea. That's the one where like everyone forgets about the Beatles except for one guy.
Let's talk about it next week.
Okay, so I shouldn't be excited to watch that.
Let's just talk about it next week.
So I'm gonna. That's my job for this week.
Do you want my review? You want my spoiler-free review of it right now? I don't want to.
Yeah.
Ruin your enjoyment of the movie.
Yeah, I do. I want to lower my expectations if I need to.
It was a really cool, creative concept, but the execution was more rom-com and less what happened to create this situation. Okay. And that was a little disappointing to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So enjoy the movie, Carl.
I mean, that still sounds good. Maybe I'll watch it with the lady friend if it's a rom-com.
Yeah, it's very. It definitely becomes a lot about the love and less so about figuring out what happened to the Beatles.
I'm really not so excited about this anymore.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
We can talk about it next week. I did watch 2 movies on Netflix, so you'll have to tell me if you added these to your list or not. Okay.
Okay.
Number 1, this is not the first time I've seen this movie, is Sicario. Sicario.
I have not seen it. I almost went and watched the sequel in theaters.
No, you got
watching the first one.
I haven't seen the sequel. The first one is a visually beautiful movie. I mean, it's Denis Villeneuve who makes beautiful movies. He did Blade Runner 2049. He's doing Dune, which is coming out, I think, in a few weeks.
Dune look like first week of October. Dune looks great.
Yeah. So he did that movie. It's a really cool story. I found the pacing to be a little off. Like, couldn't really get into the flow of it, but really cool story. The other one I watched was a Seth Rogen movie called Long Shot. Have you heard of this movie?
I have not heard of this.
Never heard of it until I was just scanning Netflix this week. So it's Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. She is like the Secretary of State, and she's preparing to run for president. And he's a journalist who she hires to be a speechwriter for her. And they went to like grade school or something together. And speaking of rom-coms, that's exactly what this was. They end up falling in love together, but it's a Seth Rogen comedy. So it's, the jokes are raunchy and based in like drug use and stuff.
Right.
It was not a great movie. I kind of felt bad for making my family watch it.
That doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds like a Seth Rogen movie.
It was a Seth Rogen movie, minus that weird, annoying laugh that he does. He didn't do it once in the movie. Didn't
even laugh. Or did he like have a fake Seth Rogen laugh?
He must have had a fake Seth Rogen laugh. Because I always, when I hear that laugh, it pulls me out of anything he's doing. And I not once during the movie did I think, oh, there's a stupid laugh.
Yeah. But I mean, it's his. And it is
his. Anyways, bad movie. I wouldn't recommend it.
All right. Well, I also watched 2 movies this week, and I actually did something that I have not done for years. I went to the theater for the very first time.
You did?
I did.
That's exciting. I have a lot of questions, but first tell us what you saw.
I saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Ooh, and?
Great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. My spoiler-free review, and I think it shouldn't be a surprise, but it is the best hand-to-hand fight scenes of any Marvel movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I assume it's better than this because it's a movie and not a Netflix show, but I always thought like Daredevil and the Punisher shows on Netflix had very good hand-to-hand combat.
Well, so that's in talking with people after seeing the movie. I think it's probably not as good as Daredevil, because you're right. Daredevil, like those scenes are spectacular, but this definitely had like, I'm not going to compare the entire movie to like a John Wick level of like combat, but definitely like there were some moments that I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I kind of like, you could see that they were both borrowing from the same ideas.
Yeah. Cool. So tell us about the movie theater. I personally have not gone yet. I'm saving myself for Dune in October.
Mm-hmm.
But how was it? Do you have to wear a mask in the theaters in Alberta?
You do now. I actually went. So rules changed Saturday in Alberta again, because that's what we do over here. But up before that, there was no restrictions anywhere in the entire province. So you could do whatever you wanted, wherever you wanted. Most people there were, I'd say about 50-50 of people that were wearing masks. And they just like sneak snacks in under their mask or eat their popcorn and take it off. No extra spacing. I did make sure to buy like my 2 seats in a group of 3 and on the aisle. So there was no one beside me, the aisle on the other side. And I mean, reclined back in my leather recliner and enjoyed the show. It was really a good experience. There wasn't anything like COVID safety wise that they did.
Yeah.
But it was
were there a lot of people in the theater with you?
I mean, it was opening weekend of a Marvel movie. So
it was busy. So how was the energy being back in a theater with a bunch of people seeing a movie that nobody's seen before.
You know what? It wasn't like I've definitely been in more excited theaters.
Yeah.
Than this. Like, I mean, I've been in what Star Wars movie was it where like people it was rowdy. I've never been to a rowdy movie before. I think it was episode 7. So I was like Force Awakens. Which would have been,
yeah, I remember that. I remember being in a theater packed every seat. I was like down in the first rows. And as soon as the Lucasfilm thing flashed on the screen,
people going crazy.
Screamed.
Yeah. And like multiple times throughout the movie, like anytime there was like a callback or like something like that, just everyone would lose their minds.
Yeah. Fast forward to The Rise of Skywalker, there was not a lot of cheering when Lucasfilm went on the screen.
No, they're like, let's just get through this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, I mean, it was good. It was a good experience. Great to be at a movie and to be able to just see it, not on my couch.
Yeah, nice.
But the second one is one that I want to, it actually was brought to my attention from a listener. So thank you, Daniel, for sending this over to us. And I think I mentioned this on the show like a couple weeks ago. This series that they're doing. Have you seen on Netflix this Untold documentary series?
I haven't, but you mentioned it about Malice at the Palace.
Malice at the Palace, yeah. So I think that was the first one. That was the first one I'd seen. That might have been the first one that they put out.
Yeah.
So they've done 4 of them, I believe now. There's going to be 5, and it's these sports documentaries that they're putting out. So there's one on Malice at the Palace. There's one about Christy Martin, which I guess is a female boxer. I'm not well versed in the boxing world. There's one on Caitlyn Jenner. There's one coming up on tennis star. And then this one called Untold Crime and Penalties, which tells the story of the Danbury Trashers. Have you heard of this hockey team before?
Never.
Okay, so Danbury Trashers were a team in the UHL. Have you even heard of that league before?
I haven't. Had you?
No, never. So it's on like the same level as like the ECHL. Like I think it's in that same realm of leagues and like style. So small league. I think it was mostly in like the Northeast US. Anyways, it tells the story about this. Now, what were you doing when you were 17?
I don't know. Regular 17-year-old stuff, going to school, renting movies from Blockbuster.
Did you have a job?
Oh yeah.
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 What was 17-year-old Nick doing? Were you working were you working at Blockbuster, the dream job?
At 17, no, I was not working my dream job at Blockbuster. At 17, I was done at the grocery store. I was working at a gas station.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good, I mean,
it was a fun job actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the people, because this is a documentary, so it has interviews with these folks and whatnot. But in this, 17-year-old AJ Galante was the president and general manager of the Danbury Trashers, not Thrashers.
17-year-old.
17. So if you were a 17-year-old, what kind of a hockey team would you run?
Oh boy. I mean, when I was 17, hockey was big and bad.
So that's it.
Just a bunch of big muscly men.
So this was a team just run to put on a show. They literally had inside the arena, like, welcome to the evil empire. They called themselves the bad boys of hockey, and just suspension after suspension from the league. But also the owner of this team, the guy's dad, the 17-year-old's dad, was a mob boss. And so part of the way that they managed to get all these things, because this happened in like early 2000s. So this was during the lockout. And one of the things that they managed to do was get Michael Rupp, Stanley Cup champion,
Mike Rupp,
to play for the team. And so they had, I guess the league has like a $750,000 salary cap. So like it's a decent chunk. But they were paying guys under the table. Everyone was working, quote unquote, for his various companies and would get paychecks and they would just get envelopes of cash sometimes after a game. Like you score the game winning goal, you get a bunch of money. So anyways, this team was good. Like they started winning games. And I mean, when you can just pay everyone, they got Brent Gretzky.
No.
Yep.
Brent Gretzky? He played for the Mob?
That was the first player that they announced.
So this kid built a pretty good team at 17.
Yeah. So that was his whole thing. But anyways, it kind of just tells the story of how all of that happened. And it's interesting to see kind of the way that even like the commissioner of the league, who starts with like a very negative attitude of the team, but then by the end of it is supportive of the owner. What ended up causing the downfall of the team was the owner. The FBI was investigating him, bunch of charges. He's done 2 different jail stints, one for a year and a second one for 87 months, I think is what they'd said. So just a really interesting story on how this team went from nothing to something.
What happened to the kid?
How it was built. So he was the GM the whole time, and then he opened a boxing ring, and I guess is a successful boxing manager now.
I'm sure there's no money being laundered through that boxing ring either.
It's completely on the up and up. Absolutely.
I can't believe we've never heard of this story before.
So here's the thing. You might have heard. Have you heard of Drake?
I have, aka Champagne Poppy.
Mr. Champagne Poppy, yes, the certified lover boy himself.
Okay.
He was spotted wearing a Danbury Trashers jersey this week.
No, he was not.
He was.
This guy's so weird. Did you see his new album cover?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
A lot of pregnant ladies.
Oh my God. I can't look at it. I'm just like, what? I can't. What is this album art? This is not art.
But you're not okay. What is it? Is it like 16 emojis?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
That's how he got certified.
So that's how he got. What does that even mean?
You'll have to ask him.
So he got. Yeah, I'll text him after we're done. So he knew of this team. He was a fan.
I mean, I guess so. It is like their logo is just like a fighting trash can. So I would get a jersey.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that makes sense. Like Drake would want to wear that. Maybe his next album will just be 16 trash cans on the front of
it. You just cycling through emojis. I like it. It's just going to be one. The next one's just one. And it's just like the wide eyes. That's all it is.
Yeah. So you'd recommend this? Because you told me about this movie, and we had a listener write in to tell us to watch it, and I didn't get a chance to watch it this week. So I'm very excited to watch it.
Yeah, I think it's good. I shared enough about it. I don't think I spoiled it, but it's just like the stories of it. The people involved in it are just so interesting.
Yeah.
Like the biggest meathead hockey players ended up on this team. I mean, you've got guys like getting hundreds of penalty minutes in the league. Like one of them had 576 penalty minutes in one season. So you've got like that realm. You've got like the coach is a character. You've got obviously the father-son dynamic. There's a set of twin brothers that play on the team that they interviewed for it who are quite the characters. So I just the kinds of people that would play on a hockey team run by the mob in minor hockey is apparently a type.
All right. Well, it's on my list this week before training camps start.
I like it. I think it's good. We also, on this same realm of like movie, can we take a quick diversion into the land of television?
Absolutely.
All right. Because we got like right before we started the show, we got a question, and I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer this question.
Okay.
So we're going to see. We did get like a follow-up that lets us change the question if we need to.
Okay.
So the question is, you're making a roster. We only need 6 players, 3 forwards, 2D, and a goalie. But the question is, you can only do it using fictional TV detectives.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know if I know 6 fictional TV detectives.
Okay. I wonder if I could do 6.
Here's the thing. I have the best answer, and I'm going to let you get some of them before I ruin all of yours and you realize that I had the best answer.
Okay, that's fine. So the first one that pops to my mind is the goalie would be Matthew McConaughey from True Detective.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, right? Like he's just way too much of a thinker, but like he's also very physical, as we saw in that one track shot, that like 16-minute shot from that one episode. So that would be my goalie. On defense, I'd probably take this is a tough one. I'm gonna go to the forwards for a second. McNulty from The Wire. He's a winger.
Okay.
Because he's gonna go into the dirty areas and do the dirty work that nobody wants to do.
Also, I like that. Did you see the Wire news of today?
I did. That was very sad.
That is sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Omar lost him to an overdose.
Yeah. It's too bad.
That was too bad. So I put McNulty as a winger. On defense, I'd put Andy Samberg from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
And his partner, Batista from Dexter.
Ooh, okay.
Those two, nice 1-2 punch on the blue line.
Okay.
I got a glaring hole at center. I don't know what to do about a centerman. TV detective, hey? See, I was never big on the like Hawaii Five-O's and those kinds of shows, so I don't have any of that knowledge.
See, I've got one that I think is missing from this roster. I think because I mean, he could lean into some of his Canadian past, and you could go with Nathan Fillion's character in Castle.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it.
Me either, but I know Nathan Fillion's Canadian, so I assume he's got some hockey in him.
Yeah.
One person that I think is missing that I don't think is particularly skilled at the hockey, but I was going to put this guy on defense, Magnum PI.
Yeah, he's a good defenseman.
Right? I would put him on defense. Maybe we
Boot Sandberg.
Maybe Sandberg can play on the wing.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
But the one that we're missing, who would clearly be the best choice, is the one and only Inspector Gadget.
Oh, God. Is he a detective?
It's literally in his name. He's then an inspector. That counts as a detective.
Oh my God.
And I don't know where I'm going to put him.
He can play any position.
Right? I mean, positionally, he's incredibly flexible.
Yeah, he's a rover.
So, I mean, we can probably just put him, we could play 6 forwards, I think. And then he could just find a way to get back to stop any pucks.
He wouldn't even have to move that fast.
No, you would just like pop that umbrella out of his hat and just like motor his way down the ice.
Absolutely. That's funny. That's good. I like it. I also think, our second D line can just be the X-Files team.
Yes. I think they have the chemistry's there, right?
Carl just rehashing TV Guide articles from the 90s.
But I mean, so I was stumped in this. I said, like, I'm not sure I can think of 6 TV detectives. You did a much better job than me. And so this came from good friend of the show, Mike Laybourne. He said, if we want to open it up to like just any sort of theme, TV chef, or just TV anything, we could. Is there any TV character that you really think would fit in well on a hockey team?
Oh, man. Another detective that just popped into my mind is Hank from Breaking Bad.
Ooh. Now that he'd be on our beer league team. I'm not sure that
he'd be kicked out of that league pretty quickly, I think. Just, dude, you got to calm down.
That's fair. He'd fit on super well on the Trashers, though.
Yes, he would fit very well on the Trashers. That's right. I would just throw the entire cast of Entourage onto one line.
Okay.
You know who'd be a good hockey player? Dr. Cox from Scrubs.
He's a big Red Wings fan. We know that.
He wears his jersey nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good looking jersey. Which might be the nicest thing I say about the Red Wings this entire season. There's not really anyone else on Scrubs that I would want to see though. JD, hard no on the ice.
No,
he'd go full Bambi
with his hair met.
Yeah, forgot about that.
I know all the Scrubs inside jokes, Carl.
I've rewatched it just this year for the I don't know how many time.
Very good.
Other shows, I think Friends, you could have a good line from that show.
Yeah.
Like maybe Ross wouldn't be able to, but I think Monica would hold her own on the ice.
Ross can be the goalie though. They can do that thing like the Simpsons or like maybe the Simpsons did it too, but like the Mighty Ducks did where they just kind of tie him to the posts.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like that's all you need from Ross.
Yeah, he's pretty big. Cover enough of that net.
Yeah, right. Who else? I mean, we're kind of going into ensemble cast. I would make a good line of hockey right now.
Yeah, and I think that's I like this where we're ending up.
Right? Like, how do we feel about The Office versus Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec is going to win that.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't think that's close.
They got Andy, and Andy is both athletic and reckless.
Yes, Andy's going to be the wild card, but I think Jerry/Gary is really going to be the wild card for them. I think he might have some secret skills.
You talking about Terry?
No, I'm talking about
Larry. They went through them all over the course of the show.
It's so good. I think he might be, and you know that Chris is going to just be a great coach. He's not going to be on the ice, but he's going to be coaching them up.
He will literally coach them to a win.
Okay, so who's going to be able to beat the Parks and Rec cast then?
Oh man, who's going to be able to beat the Parks and Rec cast? I mean, who else we got from the sitcom world? We got The Office. We know they're not going to beat them. Seinfeld's
not doing it.
No, I don't think so either. They're not even going to get on the ice. They're just in the dressing room.
Like because if you think about it, because you got the core 4, right? Like who else are you adding to that? Like you need 6. Who had Newman, and who's going to be your 6th?
Oh, I thought Newman was the 6th.
No,
the Costanzas.
That's where I was thinking. I think Mrs. Costanza's probably got to be. They can swap in and out. It's fine.
They can swap in and out. Yeah. But no, Seinfeld's not beating Parks and Rec. Who else we got? We know Scrubs is not beating them. Friends might put up a fight.
I think they could. Now you mentioned, I mean, this gets into the realm of difficult scenarios to think about, but you mentioned The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Big set of characters there. What do you think?
I think The Simpsons are too dysfunctional to make anything work on the ice. And we actually saw that in one of the episodes.
It's true. So that also would then take Arrested Development and make that not... They wouldn't be able to field a team very well.
Oh, it would be awful, but it would be so amazing to watch.
I want to see Buster Bluth on the ice so bad now.
Right? And Job. And Lindsay. And Tobias.
All of them are so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they'd be very bad.
This is cheating, but I have discovered the sitcom that would be able to beat Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And it is Letterkenny.
Yes, absolutely. Letterkenny could do it.
And it wouldn't even be close.
No, it wouldn't.
But I think, does that count? Like, is that cheating?
That's not cheating.
Okay.
That's not cheating. I'm not like, I haven't watched all of Letterkenny. I'm not that familiar with it, but from what little I've seen, you're absolutely right. Now put Letterkenny up against the Trailer Park Boys.
Ooh. That'll be a contest.
I think it's still Letterkenny.
We got a real Donnybrook on our hands, though. That's for sure.
Yes, we do.
This has taken a turn from like fundamentally sound hockey with Parks and Rec to just a disaster.
It's also carried us to the hour mark of the show.
Well, tune in next week where maybe, hey, if you think of a better one, if you think of someone, let us know this week your best TV ensemble cast as a hockey team. Let us know who you think would be able to suit up. I mean, maybe you got a better bronze medalist than Parks and Rec. Maybe you think you can beat Letterkenny and Trailer Park Boys. Send it to us.
Who would win the sitcom ensemble Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I think we're getting somewhere with this.
Yes.
Because Brooklyn Nine-Nine would also put up a pretty good team.
I think so too. I think they would too.
You had Andy Samberg on the ice. You got Terry Crews. Scary Terry's going to be out there.
And we didn't even bring up 30 Rock.
It's true. So let us know your picks as the best ensemble cast hockey team at Fourth Line Podcast on Twitter, mail at thefourthlinepodcast.com, and head to thefourthlinepodcast.com for great stuff. I have a rumor, has it, that we got a new article coming out this week with all of the RFA talk of Kotkaniemi heading to Carolina. Brody's put together a great piece that's going to be coming out this week about restricted free agents. So head on over there and read that as well. You can find us on Full Press Radio, Full Press NHL, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're there. Make sure to subscribe so we'll be there for you next week. And until then,
it's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. Team Canada Women had a pretty good team. Probably a good thing their GM wasn't 17.